mindful about a proactive way for us and preventive way for others, right? The Quran says, "La darara wa la dirar." There is no harm for me and for you both. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to save us from these things. So taqwa is actually very important point in Islamic understanding. And why I am giving it, because most of the time we take the little bit half meaning of it, or partial meaning of it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used this word various ways. And most of the time what happened, one of the translation, he come the fear. This is one thing. And second thing, most of the time the taqwa is seen in some kind of, you can say, zawahir, or some kind of mazahir, or some kind of, any shapes, or some kind of dress code, or some kind of thing. The taqwa really starts with some attitude, with something which is a person mindful about it. Then these are expression of taqwa, and whatever happening from that side. So the first taqwa starts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And from before we start with human being, we start with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the reason why the taqwa is connected with fear. But fear is not the taqwa. Fear is mean when I'm missing my taqwa, then I'm supposed to fear. So my fear is supposed to be with my sin, my violation, because then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put me under accountability. And the taqwa is actually very special, you can say, offshoot or result of iman. And this iman, when settled in hearts, a person mindful about his or her public and private life both. And I am mindful about people are watching me. People are, if they know something about me, they comment, or maybe they will.
So the car is Honda, SUV Honda, parking in this way. SUV Honda, parking this way.
The car which was hit, or the one of the who hit it? It means the person who hit, he gone away.
No, he is here.
Oh, he's here. Okay, I see. Okay, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I hope it is not a big damage. La hawla wa la quwwata. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he said about the taqwa, so the taqwa is actually kind of feeling about a kind of, for example, living with iman and showing iman, for example, in all aspects of life. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second taqwa is start with your own. Yani before people judge you, you're supposed to judge yourself. Hasibu anfusakum, yani you be mindful about yourself. And this is one of the very great way, for example, to link our iman with our existing life. Yani just imagine that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I want to start with my day without any grudge with any person. I want to keep my heart clean. Suppose I have something bad or something, I am angry or something, but I start again with cleanliness. So taqwa is also from myself, how I supposed to be honest, right, about my deen, about my action. Because the first achievement of taqwa is yourself. If you are really satisfied with your action and you are doing honestly and you are really doing for the sake of Allah, so maybe people will comment you 1,000 comments against you. But if you are really from inside, right, you feel that no, I did good thing. So it is the one of the area where your taqwa is working with you. The taqwa is also related to our, suppose for example, money. Because when I am purifying myself, my money is supposed to be muttaqi, right? If I have a source which is not pure, then my purity will also be affected. So the taqwa is also related to money. And then the food, right? Mostly the word Quran used for it, azka, tahaman, pure and clean and best food. And also is it related to our relation, right? The family relation, the sexual relation is also one of the taqwa. Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, describing the ahkam of family life, Quran says, ذَلِكُمْ أَزْكَىٰ لَكُمْ وَأَطْهَرُ. This is good for you and this is pure for you. So same thing, if I do outside marital relation, it will be filthy. But if I do inside it, it is a reward for that, it is a base of taqwa. And also taqwa related to, for example, our dunya, and also dunya, all kind of activities, right? It is not that I'm in masjid very muttaqi, but outside I'm not. So my whole life supposed to be reflecting the taqwa. So Imam Nawawi, when he was saying that, he said, وَصَارَ التَّقْوَى فِي تَعَارُفِ الشَّرْعِ حِفْظُ النَّفْسِ مِمَّا يُوسَمْ وذلك بترك المحظور ويتم ذلك بترك بعض المباحات. And he said, when we go to as a definition of taqwa in a Sharia, so it means to protect nafs, soul, from which is sinful, and thing which is prohibited, to avoid which is prohibited. And then he said, sometimes the taqwa reached to the point of even avoiding mubahat. Mubah in our term means something which is left for human being to choose to do it or not to do it. Mubah means both options are open, right? But sometimes mubah is also seen as a way to creating some doubts, right? So one of the highest level of taqwa to avoid even the which is leading to shubha, not shubha itself, but leading to shubha. And this is what we say in our fiqh, saddu zari'a. Something which itself is not haram, but sometimes it leads to something haram. So we say that it is kind of taqwa. And many times it happens, especially in our time when people mostly mindful about halal and haram. And sometimes they stick and say, oh, there's no any hadith about this thing. But it is the issue where the mind of, if the real taqwa is settled in human nature. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will create in you the furqan. It is the highest level of taqwa. Furqan means what? Furqan means dividing line. When some person is talking about you, or about others, or about halal and haram, or about something which is maybe not under any kind of group, but you feel that this is not working with me, or it is really not giving me a sense. So this kind of quality, which is the quality of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hudan lil-nasi wa bayyinatin min al-huda wal-furqan. We revealed for you Quran, which is the furqan. And if you connect yourself with taqwa, I will connect you with this ability. And this is one of the very great, you can say, achievement of taqwa, that suppose 100 people are giving you some kind of opinion, but your mind is not accepting it, and you are going with one thing which is really, you can say, going the right direction. And this is the reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, istafti qalbak, right? Many times it happens that people are asking many questions, right? But they know that this answer is not good. This answer is not actually, for example, maybe some person giving you some kind of concession or some kind of freedom or some kind of thing, permission, but it is not working to do. So in that sense, the heart is actually become a kind of barometer for it. So the taqwa, if I define, mostly giving example, just like a bowl, right? Bowl is filthy. So what will be the first position with myself with bowl? I supposed to clean it, right? I supposed to clean it. So this is the first part of taqwa, right? Then when a bowl is clean, what I need to do it? I have to fill it. So what I fill is supposed to be clean as well. If I clean bowl and then I'm filling with filthy again, so then taqwa's role is gone. This is the position of Ramadan. And Ramadan is coming for us with half part of taqwa. Half part. Rasulullah said in hadith, as-sawmu junnah. Sawm, fasting, is a shield. What is the role of shield? It defends us, protect me from attack from outside, right? So when I'm saved, I'm alive. But what is my duty now? Shield will not do this thing. Shield will not attack, right? Shield only protect. So my job starts when I am saved from any attack. Now I have to start with my mission. So fasting is giving me, this is the reason why a sawm, ma'nahu in Arabic, you what? Al-man'u. Yani in Arabic, sawm mean to abstain from something. And abstain what? Abstain from food, from, for example, sexual relation and kind of these things, right? But then when I, in one month time, I am cleaning my heart. My body is heart, right? So when I clean this thing and fasting helping me, so what is my half other job? Half other job is to fill my heart with something which is supposed to be pure. And this is the Quran. And Quran says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. This is a month of Ramadan with a month of Quran. And Quran revealed as a guidance and as a very explicit way to explain everything, and then it's creating Furqan. So in that sense, for example, most of the time, if I say that Ramadan, if we do minimum fasting, suppose we avoided everything, we kept our fasting very good, right? And we maintained everything. So we did half job. But when my heart has become clean, pure, then I need to, for example, make it full with good side of life, good side of deen, good side of practice. This is the role of Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disconnected me from many things in Ramadan time to make my focus on filling my heart with good things. So this is something which is, Quran says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامَ. Your relation is supposed to be based on taqwa. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. And then Quran says a very strange thing. In two ayat, there is a two contrast. In one ayah, Quran says you have to do taqwa as it's supposed to be. It's full condition. Haqqa tuqati. So Sahaba, they say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ask us to do something and maybe we are not able to do it. So Rasulullah said, okay, accept it, then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala easy. So Quran says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. At least what you can do, what is your ability. And our ability in two ways. One thing, we sometimes miss it, we sometimes do it, right? We are sometimes mindful, but other time not. But it is also, we are coming back. It is also taqwa. We are trying to do sometimes, most of the time we do best, sometimes we don't do at our best. But still we continue. So taqwa is maybe, for example, just like as iman, al-imanu yazidu wa yanqus, iman decrease and increase, same thing taqwa. But issue is that when I am missing something, I feel bad, right? I feel about that, though it is not, I supposed to do best. So taqwa is actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He provided two guides, you can say protection or custodianship for two groups. One is Waliul Mu'mineen. Allah is a wali of all believers. And then He provided other thing. Wallahu Waliul Muttaqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wali of Muttaqeen. So we can imagine that maybe Iman is the minimum and Taqwa is the highest level of Iman. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caring about both. Maybe Taqwa protection is one way and Iman Taqwa is another way. But both way are, for example, considered in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a protector for both of them. So I just read some hadith about Imam Nawawi brought it. This hadith is reported by Bukhari and Muslim. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قيل يا رسول الله من أكرم الناس قال أتقاهم قال ليس عن هذا نسألك قال فيوسف نبي الله ابن نبي الله ابن نبي الله ابن خليل الله قالوا ليس هذا عن نسألك قال فعن معادن العرب تسألوني خيارهم في الجاهلية خيارهم في الإسلام إذا فقهوا أو إذا فقهوا. The first hadith he said that Abu Hurairah reported it, that one time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, who is the most noble, most honored, most blessed person in ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So he said, the one who is the most muttaqi. The highest level of taqwa will make person to be closer or to be most blessed in ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, no, our question is not about this kind of honor or this kind of blessing. He said, okay, so the most blessed person is Yusuf. He is himself Nabi, his father is Nabi, and his grandfather is also Nabi, right? And then I said, no, we are not asking about that thing. So he said, okay, you are asking me about the genuine, original start or original, you can say, identity of peoples. Ma'adin Arab. Ma'adin, mines. When mine, gold, mine, there are many kind of mines. Mine of gold, mine of coal, mine of any kind of these things. So he said the human being also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them as a mines. Right? So the one whose nature is from gold, it will be gold when it is polished. Right? Diamond is a diamond. But when it will be the variable, when it is polished, when it is crafted, right? So he said, خيارهم في الجاهلية, the one who was very without Islam or pre-Islam or pre-Islamic introduction or pre-Imanic position, he was the best person in his nature, right? But when he got the ilm of deen, the understanding of deen, then he became the polished person. So this hadith is actually giving us three dimensions. First thing, the taqwa, right? It is the highest level, of course. But people were seeking some other things. So he said those who are symbol of this kind of taqwa with both nobility from family and nobility from their position, right? Yusuf alayhi salam from the most noble family, and then himself is a most noble person. And the third thing is, it is for everyone, for every human being. So suppose, for example, a person, just like Umar radiallahu anhu, before Islam, he was most prominent person. But his ability or whatever attributes were vested in wrong thing or in something which is not, for example, suitable for that person. But when he became Muslim, so his iman become the highest example of Islamic application, right? A Badu, a person who's dwelling coming from tribal life, and this person, he got his iman. He is practicing Islam. But I always say that there are two kinds of Islam. One Islam, if you ask from Badu, a Badu came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked, what is Islam? He said, pray, believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and pray 5 times, and do Ramadan, and do this thing. He said, La azidu wa la anqus. I will not increase and I will not decrease. So what he took? Basics of Islam. And the Rasulullah said what? Dakhala Jannah in Sadaqah. If he says truth, he will go in Jannah. It is one Islam, right? It is one Islam. But can you imagine that Umar radiallahu anhu, he also was, when he was asking, he said, I will limit to this thing. He says, Zidni. Ya Rasulullah, give me more, right? So in that sense, for example, what we mean by it, that Islam is a kind of a storage, right? I can take from it 5 things, 6 things, 4 things, right? Or if I want to increase, Islam cannot end. Sabiqu ila al-khayrat. If I want to do khair, maybe one khair is enough for me. But it not means Islam is only one khair, right? Islam is endless. So in that sense, for example, we must understand that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that the person is very pure gold in its nature, and Iman will make it most polishing gold. But again, it not means that the person who was from mine of coal and he become Muslim, he will not be useful. It's not the issue. It's not the issue. But the issue is that you always see that the Iman comes in people's mind, and then you see the different area, different, superiority of some person, right? And this is the reason why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, some person said, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, I say myself, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. There's no difference, right? Pronunciation is same. But what he said, what is settled in his mind about Iman, it is making him superior to all our other believers. So in that sense, for example, this hadith is saying that the understanding of deen, tafaqquh fi deen, which Quran said, tafaqquh fi deen. يعني فروى نفر من كل فرقة طائفة منهم ليتفقهوا في الدين. Why we not? So tafaqquh is the thing which is, suppose for example, if you give a kid $100, right, and he don't know what is the value of this $100, what he will do? Maybe he throw it, maybe he burn it. But if he know that is $100, he will keep it and he will use it. So same thing happened to us. We have, most expensive, most precious thing, Iman. But sometimes we don't care about it. We sometimes don't be mindful about it. We say that dunya, if I get big house, if I get this big thing, I'm very, for example, fortunate. But you imagine that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored us with Iman, it is most precious thing you cannot buy from any place. And in this world, thousand and thousand faith ideologies are existing and people are dying for it, but they are lost because at the end they have nothing. So we have to understand that tafaqquh fi deen is also one of the great quality of getting our quality of taqwa and quality of Iman together. Another hadith says, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, is reported by Muslim, قال إن الدنيا حلوة خضرة وإن الله مستخلفكم فيها فينظر كيف تعملون فاتقوا الدنيا واتقوا النساء فإن أول فتنة بني إسرائيل كانت في النساء. Abu Sa'id Khudri reported that Rasulullah said that dunya is a very sweet and very, you can say, just like fruits are ripened, that are ready to eat, khadira, green, like a flourishing. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مُسْتَخْلِفَكُمْ فِيهَا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appoint you as position holder in the dunya. He will authorize you something to use from dunya. But the position, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't want to see you only to position. He wants to see how you react, how you use this opportunity, how you use your fattaqud dunya. So be mindful about dunya and mindful about the women. Because the first fitna in Bani Israel started from women. Many times it happens that when we see any kind of text, so most important thing is that on what point we stress more. There are two ways to understand it, right? So suppose I insist on one area of a point, so then I see it negatively, right? Other way is to see the point other way to positive way, right? So suppose Rasulullah said, "Fattaqud dunya," be mindful of dunya. So one way of understanding it, then dunya is supposed to be rejected, supposed to be cursed, right? Dunya is very bad thing, and we never go close to it. It is one way. Other way is use dunya under Islamic teachings, right? Just like you have suppose for example, you have something to tame it, right? You have a camel or something, or you tame it. If you say the beware about the dogs, right? So beware of anything which is attacking you. So you say, okay, I will not even not close to it. Other way is to train it, to control it. So it means, for example, when Rasul is saying to me, be mindful about dunya, it means he's not saying reject dunya, he's saying be mindful about the using of dunya, right? What it means? It means two things. First thing, my dunya is my dunya, I have to achieve it, but only with halal manners. One thing. And second thing, I'm not supposed to lose my whole activity in dunya only. I'm supposed to prepare for my akhirah, right? So in that way, the dunya will be my source, my career for akhirah. Ad-dunya zadul akhirah. And the same thing about the women. If I say negative understanding, okay, I will not marry. I will not go too close to them. It is one way. Or other way is, don't go with them but with halal. So for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed it, it means, for example, sometime in the medicine, there are some kind of poisons, right? Poisons are deadly. But in their terminology, poison is also cure, right? Pure, especially if you know the homeopathy, they have this kind of philosophy. Same thing about Islamic thing. When dunya is poison, convert it to honey, convert it to, for example, women, because if we live in this world without women, we cannot. But if we reject them totally, it will create more fitna. Because those who are, just like in these days, this LGBT issue, there is many dimensions of it, right? One of the ways, for example, they are fighting with their nature. But other problem is what? When they are not really establishing a understanding between men and women under family, and women are going, for example, violent, or they are, for example, doing something, so they say, okay, we don't need you. We can fulfill our desire with any way, right? So this is worse. Sometimes you are trying to avoid a snake, then you go to, for example, a scorpion. So as we said, for example, we avoided ditch and we fell in well. So in that sense, for example, many times it happens worst. And this is one of the area where you can see, especially if you read the Surah Al-Yusuf, the society which was in Egypt that time, it is the society we are living, right? In our 50 years back time, Quran says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا zina, don't go close to zina, right? And then we can see the zina from me as 10 kilometers away, right? But now zina is just like one step away, right? But same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Surah Yusuf about how Yusuf was saved, right? Quran says, همت به وهم بها لولا أن رأى برهان ربه كذلك لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء إنه من عبادنا المخلصين. She has a desire and he has a desire, and then we saved him. We saved him. Why? Because with our sincere people we do it. It means what? In society, when we are living full of everything, if you are sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save you. So dunya is also cursed thing, as Rasul said, dunya mal'unatun wa ma fiha. Dunya is cursed, and what is inside it. But those who have a teaching and they have a learning and then they are doing zikr. So in that sense, wattaqun nisa means also be mindful about violation about the sexual relation. Violation about, for example, crossing the limit and crossing the boundaries. Rasulullah dua is also reported by Ibn Mas'ud, also reported by Muslim. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wa tuqa wa al-afafa wal-ghina. Oh Allah, I ask you to increase my hidayah, to increase my taqwa, and to increase my purity and cleanliness and ghina. And also, I is not supposed to be very greedy. I supposed to be content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you are giving to me. The hadith, fifth hadith is hadith Hasan Sahih, is also reported by Tirmizi, and he said it Hasan and Sahih. عن أبي أمامة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يخطب في حجة الوداع قال اتقوا الله وصلوا خمسكم وصوموا شهركم وأدوا زكاة أموالكم وأطيعوا أمراءكم فتدخلوا جنة ربكم. He said, be mindful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pray your 5-time prayers and fast your month and do zakat, give zakat to your money and follow those who are appointed, those who are responsible for your affairs, and then you will enter Jannah easily. So sometime you can, it is the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran and also beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometime one small advice is, if you expand it, it will be 1,000 words, 1,000 things. He expresses a few things, basic few things. And what it means when you go with these things, of course, it is the entry of Jannah, but it will give you other beauties as well, other good things as well. When a person praying, so then all kind of example, ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be available. When a person fasting, then other kind of things, sabr thing issue will affect the zakat. When the person giving minimum, then the person will go more and more and more and so on. So the Jannah will be your destination, your end point. And then again Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said there is a people of taqwa and there are people of one of the time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was describing the position of different peoples. So as he said, for example, be mindful about your taqwa with your own, and be mindful that if, as he said in ihsan, do mindful that you are praying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is looking to him. If not, then at least he look to you. So in that sense, taqwa has a different values, but the minimum of taqwa is at least preventive. And then other part, if increased, then the level of taqwa increase as well. So in that sense, for example, this is when he put this chapter separately and brought not many ahadith, but he is actually mindful about this issue, that taqwa is actually supposed to reflect. And this is one of the area where we can see that we lost it because we linked taqwa with some kind of personality. We say, okay, this person is taqi, right? Our shuyukh, our salaf, or our kind of these things. So most of the time a person think that I cannot go with that level, right? When you read a person, he is praying Fajr with the wudu of Isha, right? And he is doing whole night ibadah. How many people say I will do it? Few, right? Then you say, okay, I cannot. If I see from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he said, I sleep and I pray. I do this, right? And he said, if you pray this level also, it is also, so what it means? For example, the taqwa is supposed to be accessible, right? If I see it is accessible, I can go with it. Otherwise, alhamdulillah, this person is very good, I go and just kiss him and just say salam to him, and I myself I'm not able to do. I am living a person of dunya. No, it is not the issue. The issue is that if you are going to, suppose for example, ocean, will you bring whole ocean with you? Of course not. But you can benefit from it, whatever your ability. So taqwa is also a kind of commodity which is supposed to be whatever level is there, it's supposed to be, we're supposed to practice it. And then we try to increase it. If something happening good, bad, then we try to come back and so on. So taqwa is supposed to just like on and off, right? As suppose kind of a practicing thing. But practically, taqwa is actually supposed to be my role model. This is the thing. Then I will try to do whatever I can gain it. The Ramadan time is taqwa time, right? For 11 months are not a taqwa time. It is also taqwa time, right? But it means, for example, you prepared something good, so at least you can use it 11 months, even maybe less than what you tried to do this thing. So in this way, taqwa is supposed to be our real target, whatever we do it. But only thing which we supposed to avoid, not to mix taqwa with anti-taqwa. One time I'm doing lots of taqwa. I did 100 rakat of Tarawih. Other time I'm not praying Fajr, right? So it's supposed to be, because if my bowl is always, I am filling it, but if there is a hole, then there's the part I'm filling it will go also there. So this kind of these things supposed to be there. So living with normal dunya, living with normal activity, living with kind of, for example, playing, praying, and also meeting with people, but our mind supposed to be always with our barometer, that which will indicate that this action is good, this not action is good, and then taqwa will work with us, inshallah, and benefit. Jazakumullahu khairan.
I have one question.
Yeah.
If have a taqwa. So they will be Muslim or no?
Yeah, define me a person, a human being. He has no legs, he has no arms. He is a human or not? He is a human or not? When he will be not human? When his heart is stopped, right? He has no eyes. He still is a human, right? But is it perfect? A person without eyes, without legs, perfect human? It is not perfect, but we will not call him dead, right? So mu'min with kalima la ilaha illallah, he is a mu'min. Now, for example, he has no eyes, so we say increase your eyes. He has no legs, we say take your legs, increase your iman, right? So it means, for example, the zarra, the tiny part of iman will be enough. But do we content with it? We say, no, alhamdulillah, I have this iman, enough for me. No, it is not. So I'm saying, for example, according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is actually very, you ask a question, and we spend many 100 years to just fight about this issue. We created two groups. One group say, when you say iman, do whatever you want, no problem. Others say, if you, after iman, you did a sin, you are out of iman. You heard about these kind of groups? The Khawarij and the Qadriya and kind of these groups. Many 100 years we lost in it. So we don't want, for example, to go with this thing. But we must understand that it is a standard. It is standard, we follow it. But when the standard is not available, still you are qualified. As a citizen, the only citizen is Prime Minister or you also. Right? With all kind of shortcoming, still you are citizen. But when you will be nullified from citizenship, when you do something which for example, remove your citizenship. Suppose you did something breach of country, right? So in that sense, for example, iman is always tiny part, but we supposed to protect it first from anti-iman, from something which is kufr, and then we need to increase it, and then it will work.
It's a different level of taqwa.
Of course. Yani you can imagine that the lady, at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, when he was just like in the night time he was going, so he heard a voice. Mother was saying, oh daughter, put some water in milk. So she said, daughter said, but Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, don't, play with kind of these things, don't cheat people, right? Sell only milk as a milk. So mother said, okay, Omar said it, but he's not watching us. He's not watching us. What she said? He is not watching us, but Allah is watching. And this point, Umar radiallahu anhu what he did. He put a mark on that house, and next day he said to his sons, I have a girl for you. Which one of you to marry this? And this is the grandmother of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, this lady. Two way. One thing, suppose, for example, I want to go to Niagara. How I will go? I prepare myself now to see which is direction. If I started my journey, in the middle I said, now I want to know where I to go. Of course, I need more struggle. I will come back, I will take a turn, then I will go to there, right? So my journey is supposed to start from my first day of life with right direction. If I'm doing this right direction, my journey will be easy, right? But if I lost or if I zigzagged or I diverted, then I will take a little bit effort to come back. The second issue is taqwa related to, so suppose, for example, if I am doing, we have two kind of, two separate ilm and amal. Amal and ilm, right? So suppose if I have a knowledge, then I start with amal, my amal will be exactly, I did start working, but I don't know how to work, right? So it means, for example, I have to do a lot of correction and so on. So taqwa is start from ilm first, and then start with amal, right? And whatever ilm increase, my taqwa will increase. Whatever amal I am doing, so my amal will be reach to perfection. So it is ongoing thing. I'm not saying it is one day I have no pill of taqwa which I take and then next day I become muttaqi, but it is a kind of ongoing struggle. And it means, for example, because I have one way to start my journey and to end up, but same time I have some person who want to block my journey, shaitan or my nafs. So I have to struggle with them. But my journey, if I'm mindful about my thing, and I'm always, for example, coming to think, so then this taqwa will save me. In Quran, Surah Al-Talaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Quran, taqwa will benefit me 3 areas. You know, يعني he said, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يعني يَرْزُقُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. If someone is mindful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him provision from where he cannot expect. If I said I cannot, in our time, I cannot earn by halal, right? And this is the proverb, people use it. No, without cheating you cannot do it. Without lying you cannot earn money. But if you say, no, whatever written for me, Allah will bring for me. Then he said, this taqwa will, right? And Quran says, for example, when you do taqwa, yukaffir ankum sayyiatikum. When you taqwa, I will abolish your sin. If you say, no, muttaqi is supposed to be masoom, sinless, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never said it. He never said muttaqi is supposed to be angel. He never said. But he said, if you do taqwa, your sin will be removed. So there are many ways, for example, we can see that how, for example, this taqwa can benefit us. But the issue is that how we combine our amal based on right understanding, and then how we go according to ilm, amal, and then it will be our journey of increase or decrease. So I think this is we will stop for Ramadan, inshallah. Then we will hope, inshallah, we'll meet after Ramadan. Because after next week, Ramadan will start from 25th. Yeah, after Eid, inshallah.